Good morning and welcome to day 4 on a Monday.
A Monday.
We decided to have Frank back on because the Browns won yesterday.
Oh, God. How
We
bad?
were just gonna party all show.
Dude, how bad is Miami to make the Browns actually look good?
Yeah, that's a weird scenario there. Like, so Miami reminds me of a Whopper Plopper.
It was great at once. It's all show and no go.
Like when it came out, they had their coach and Tua, who was like that kind of, and it was like different. And the defense was like, what do we do? And they were like the hottest thing for a couple years, and like the play calling and how they did everything. It was like those first couple years of that Whopper Plopper. It was like if it got within 50 feet of one on the bank, it was like must eat. And now you're throwing it and you're like, well, it still looks good. It still sounds good. It's still the same bait. Why isn't it as effective as it once was? That's the Miami Dolphins, or the Whopper Plopper of the NFL.
That's a great analogy, dude. And
the Browns are the Sluggo. Every once in a while, you're like, this thing still freaking catches them on the true turned hook.
Yeah, that's exactly the red true turn hook. Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude, it's so it's being a Browns fan, it's just wrenching.
Well, they keep winning. You might have a quarterback for more than 1 year. The Browns are also like that co-angler you get who you've got the limit in the boat, and that dude, like, you keep hearing shuffling in the back of the boat, and you look around and you're like, I'm pretty sure he hasn't made 5 casts with the same bait. Like, have you ever been in the boat with one of the guys? Like, it could be a buddy. It doesn't even have to be a tournament. But have you ever shared the boat with someone who, like,
it's a lure a cast?
It is just, they make a couple casts and then all of a sudden they're down in the bottom of the boat for 5 minutes. Then they make a cast and then you're like, you end up staying on spots longer than you would just because you feel bad, because you know that they are like trying to change to another lure and you don't want them to stand up and you be like, all right, we're out. You want to just at least give them a cast before you tell them that it's time to leave.
Dude, I have a story about that, actually.
Well, hit us with it. It is day 4 on a Monday.
So I'm fishing a Bassmaster event in Florida, and I think we were on the Harris chain or Kissimmee. I think it was Kissimmee. And I had these fish in this ditch in this backwater, and it was late in the year. It wasn't a spring Florida event. It was a late fall Florida event. And I go running back there, and I literally got to run over this gigantic flat to get to the back where the deep hole is. And you can't come off a plane, because if you come off a plane, you're stuck. You're stuck. And so I go blowing in there, dude, and it's fogged in. I mean, like, the fog, they let us go and the fog dropped. And I get back there and you can't see 10 feet in front of you. And I shut the boat down right when the water starts to drop. I shut the boat down and literally turn the motor off. So all my boat's going to do is slide and not make any noise. So I go in there and I quietly drop the trolling motor and I circle back around so I could position the boat to fish this ditch. And when we ran in, we must have rousted a bunch of ducks that were sitting in there. And the ducks take off, and it's just bang, 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 and the pellets are going all over the boat. I'm on the bottom of my deck. I yell to the guys. I go, "Hey, we're fishing over here," and it's dead quiet. And then you hear, "Hey, we're hunting over here." And so I go, "You win. We're leaving." You know what
You're in and out.
You know what I'm saying? And so I tell my non-boater, and I'm not paying any attention because now my game is flip-flop. So now I got to figure something out. So I tell my non-boater, we're rolling, man, get down, let's go. And I spin the boat around in a donut and I take off and I go out there and I feel somebody grabbing on my arm. I'm like, what? He goes, my tackle. And I'm running and his boxes are going whoom, whoom, whoom
Oh
out of
no.
the. So I go, holy shit. So I said, all right, okay. So I slide the boat off a plane real easy and it goes, because I had to get over
You're
that
in a
mud.
foot and a half of water.
And so I'm push pulling and I'm trolling motoring with it up on the air and we're getting these boxes. Some of them are open. There's
Lures floating everywhere.
There's lures floating everywhere. So we went and we got every single one of them. I made sure we got every single one, but then I couldn't get the boat back on plane. So I had to push, pull, and troll a motor all the way off this flat. But yeah, dude, I felt so bad for him because I let it rip and I just out of the corner of my eye. You know how you just see something out of the corner of your eye? I don't think nothing about it. This guy's tackle bag was empty and 3,700 planos like,
oh my gosh.
like it's job.
The other thing that's always funny with the co-anglers, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about co-angling today on today's show, but
Yeah,
is
sure.
when you're in when you're in the boat with the guy and you have a good day, you're not really paying attention to what's really going on back there, what they're using or not. And if it's one of those days where you've got a guy who's cycling through stuff, but inevitably you'll get back and then you'll be fishing like with one of your actual buddies, right? Who you're like in the boat with, and they're like, hey, I got a question for you. And they're like, when were you throwing this? And it's like a sassy shad rigged upside down, threaded onto an EWG hook or something in the side of the boat. And you have to convince them that was not what you were using in the tournament that you just finished 80th in, that was left behind by a co-angler.
Yeah, 100%.
And that you've never seen it before in your life. And they're like, sure.
Yeah, good job out of you.
Yeah, that's a bold choice right there. The old sassy shad threaded on a true turn.
Bet they never seen that before.
No.
Reeling it in, it's just spinning around like a helicopter.
Yeah. Or have you ever had the guy? I think I've done this, and I have been the guy who's had it where like the guy like leaves something in your boat afterwards, where you're like, hey, I left my life savings worth of jerk baits in your boat. And now it's on you to make sure that thing gets shipped back to them so they can have those baits.
Yeah. You just reminded me of something left in my boat, by the way.
What?
I think he left a sandwich in my cooler.
Oh, yeah. You got to get that, especially this time of the year.
I got to get it out of there.
I fun fished with Andrew Upshaw a couple years ago when we were up north, and he just jumped in my boat. So he grabbed a couple boxes, right?
Yeah.
And he's sponsored by Strike King. And he left a frog box and a flipping bait box in my boat. Perfect. And I didn't find it till we got home after. I didn't go back in that back compartment because we didn't have co-ang. I didn't have co-angler.
Right.
And so afterwards, he didn't even notice it. They were gone. I said, hey, you left to go. He's like, oh yeah, no, I didn't need those. Forgot about those boxes. Well, it like goes into the next season, and I had totally forgotten it. Never got it back. And we're at like a place, and I just kept him in the boat. Well, I'm like getting ready for the tournament. We're rooming together, so we're right next to each other, and I'm rigging up a flipping bait, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, isn't that my box that you're using?
Did you tell him there's a statute of limitations on
it was stuffed with rage bugs at the time, and I had gone through like a good flipping bite over the last 6 months. So I toss it back to him. There's like 7 left in it, and he just tosses it right back in the boat. He's like, you can keep the whole thing.
Well, dude, if he didn't miss it after that amount of time, he didn't miss it. He didn't miss it. Believe me.
Totally forgot about that. Like I had Juice and I. He bought some of those old OG KGB Chad Shads.
Yeah.
And he bought those like years ago, like back when I didn't have $300 to drop on a freaking glide, and he was, you know, living high on the hog in the oil field, sipping cognac and smoking a cigar every evening with
Outstanding.
his Tacovas up. But yeah, I've had one for almost over a year now, and it's like in there and stuff. And he came over the other day finally and was like, he had 2 of them, and he was like, okay, like I need at least one of those back now. Like I would like to fish with the baits that I purchased. And I was like, okay, here you go. You can have one back.
That's outstanding.
But one of them I had like all wire around the hook and all that stuff, weighted down.
Oh yeah,
it's all scarred up.
weighted it.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Yeah, it's funny, man. You know, the co-angler game it's a tough game. To be a co-angler is tough, especially if you own your own boat. Because you fish. You know, Frankie and I have been we've been trying to fish together a little bit more. And it's very difficult because he fishes out of his boat, I fish out of mine. My style's different than his style. Neither one of them is wrong. It's just we fish a little differently. And the other day I called him up. I said, "Hey, let's go to this lake. It flipped about 3 weeks ago. It should be pretty stable. Let's go check it out." So he's like, "Yeah, okay." So he meets me at the boat ramp because it was easier to meet, you know, in a place. So he meets me at the boat ramp, and we go, and the watercolor's good. It's not bad. It's okay. And I go to one of my offshore spots that normally late in the year they load on. We only catch a couple, and I'm like, God dang it, man. I don't want to have to go to the bank. I mean, there's no thermocline. I can clearly see the thermocline in this lake was at 15 feet, and I slid up to the channel ledge from 28 feet, and there's no thermocline. So this lake is done. And I'm like, not giving up. I'm not giving up on this because I do not want to go to the bank and flip. So we go to another offshore spot and catch a couple more, and it's not hot and heavy like it should be, but I can see some fish. You know, when I'm fishing, I'm scoping the cover, and I can see some fish. And whoa, I'm getting bombarded here by work.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
that's because
right.
it's a Monday.
They don't know it's a Monday, so
Yeah.
I'm getting bombarded. I mean, bombarded by work. So I'm seeing some fish. We're catching some. We're not catching a ton. It's a little off. So I'm like, okay, I got a really cool deal. We're gonna go to it, and I want to show it to you. So I'm being kind of cryptic because I don't want to give it up. But so we go to this structural deal, and I scan over and I go, look at that thing. And he's like, oh my God, that's perfect. So I go, here, get up. I said, get on the trolling motor scope. And so he starts scoping the structure, and he sees a few crawling on the bottom, and he fires the minnow out there, and I'm watching it. I'm not even fishing it. I'm watching it. He's shaking it, and all of a sudden, one, you know, just how they do on every video you ever see, comes, whoom, and he's got it. And I'm like, yeah, good job, man. And so he gets it. It's a pretty good one. He lets it go. He jumps back up there. He fires out again. And I go, okay, I see how this is going to go. So I'm like, have at it, bro. So I grabbed my micro football jig, and I said, scan just a little bit to the left for me. He scans to the left. I see the corner of what we're fishing. I fire the micro jig out there. He fires his minnow out there. And dude, listen, this is how you could use scoping to your advantage when you're not scoping, when you're the guy in the boat. So when he would throw at the fish, all right, I would throw 5 feet to the left of him or 5 feet to the right of him. Ow, this cat gets me in the back. So I would throw 5 feet to the left or 5 feet to the right. So here, two things. I know I'm within range of a fish, but B, I know I'm going to be on the structure.
Yeah.
That's more important to me, because when you see them crawling on the bottom, you know they're on the structure. The ones that come up and get the minnow are very aggressive fish. So literally he scoped, I threw the micro football jig, I caught him, and he caught him. And so that's kind of how we played it the entire day. So when I was on the trolling motor and I was throwing a minnow, he was throwing to the left or to the right of me. And here he blind casted the minnow. He didn't pick up the micro football jig. He just blind cast the minnow and shake it in, and he was catching them right with me. So there's ways that a guy who's not scoping can use that to their advantage as well. Now, keep in mind, we were structure fishing. We weren't open water fishing for one or two at a time. We were structure fishing it, and that's why it worked. So we did about a half a day doing that, and we caught them. We caught some good ones, but we didn't catch any slobs.
Largies or smallies?
Largemouth.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we didn't catch any slobs. We caught some good ones, but no big ones. But I had chose this lake because it's a very prolific crappie lake, and I said, look, I got to go catch some crappies to bring home. So I said, I got two spots where there's no thermocline, they'll be loaded up. So I literally go 300 yards from where we were. and we started dusting them up, man. and then I made a little short run to another spot, and we started catching those magnums, man.
On the short rod or long rod?
Short rod. We were
wow.
we were throwing 4.5 and 5 inch minnows on them. And we just had a time of it, man. And so, he got a bug up his ass. He wanted to go to the bank. I said, go ahead, dude. I'm going to start putting stuff away because I'm ready to go home. And I'm putting stuff away and we're fishing the bank. I kept a couple rods out just to, go down the bank with him. And the fish weren't plastered to the bank yet, which surprised me because the water temperature was 61 degrees. The clarity was good. It wasn't horrible. It was decent. And by all practical purposes, you should have not been able to go down 100 yards of bank and not catch 15 or 20 of them. And it's just settling in, after the turnover and things start to get stable again. It's just getting there. The crappie were using the deeper structure, but there weren't millions of them on it, but there was good numbers of them on it. The bass were out there. And so it's just, I think in about another week, you could go there with a chatterbait and a square bill and a jig and wear them out. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool.
You mentioned you were throwing that, the little micro jig while he was scoping. And I think, a lot of the team guys that I talk to, I fish with Cranford a lot. And in my old age, I let him have it. He rarely fishes out of my boat. It's almost all out of his boat. But where we fish, like we fish our Thursday nighters, we jump in and fun fish and stuff like that. And if we're fun fishing, we alternate, which I think is the way to do it. Like we'll both be casting the same fish. You get with a guy that you're buddies with and stuff. You get one cast, oh crap, I'm short. And the other guy, boom, hits it right on it. And he's like, I'm not. But when it comes to the tournament stuff and the structure stuff, I think that it's definitely a mindset when it comes to the use of the technology, because unless you are in a true open water scenario, in which case you often have multiple fish and you should be able to work in tandem to hit different fish with different baits. Right. But it's just like fishing without it. Like all it takes is that guy to pan over and give you a little bit of an understanding of what's going on. But you mentioned that jig, and one of the things that I found is the two baits that as a guy who's fishing in a team tournament with someone who's predominantly scoping are a jig and a drop shot.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't care where you are in the country. It works amazing in Oklahoma, but those are two baits that you can get an idea of where you're casting to. But if you cast in the middle of it, you're not instantly hung like if you're throwing a jerk baiter and open hook. Right. You get reaction bites. You can fish it. It always catches fish. Those are the two things. I mean, I'll take 3 rods on the Thursday nighter with them. I'll have a jig, a drop shot, and a minnow. And if we both get on it up front, we find the offshore schools, we'll alternate on the minnow, and if not, I'll let him do his thing, and he'll sweep over, see my bait going down, and then he's back fishing and I'm back there, and I'm not trying to get up there in his business. I'm not trying to compete with him for his fish. I'm acting like it's 2008 and I'm dragging the jig or I'm shaking the drop shot just like it. And it's amazing how often I'll add, if it's a 3 fish, I'll add 1 or 2 every single week doing it, where I'm like, got one and it's a blind fish.
Oh yeah, I caught quite a few just fishing around. As long as I knew, and that's what we were doing. I'd go, Frank, scope, turn to the left a little or turn to the right a little bit. And then, or I'd say, don't worry, you just cast where you need to cast and I'll go left or right of you. And so he would cast, and what I made sure of was when I cast, because I don't want to screw his, because I don't know if he's dropping a minnow straight on a fish or behind the fish and bringing it to him. So when he would cast, I would cast farther than his cast, 5 to 6 feet to the left of him or to the right of him, but far enough away from his cast where if he's dropping on the head of one, I'm not going to spook that fish down when my jig goes, whoa, you know what I mean? So, and then it worked. I mean, it wasn't a bad day.
And I don't have matching you, so I run a Lowrance at the console, and then I obviously have the LVS 34 up front with the HCS Live 12 for my mapping. But if you're in one of the boats that has either the linked Lowrance or the linked Garmin's, you can stay in the back and put that scope screen on the console screen if they're linked together, and you can be in the back and watch, and then that allows that guy up front to move around, to spin around, and you're in the back, but you actually can see exactly what he's seeing. And a good boater then will make sure that you're fishing an area that if he's in nothing, like you might be able to be scoping. We do this a lot. We do this. That's kind of our secret, is you have one guy where you scope the edge, right?
Oh yeah.
So you find the floaters that are relating to the edge that aren't, but that are on bait or something. So like if your boat is here, and this is all open water over here, and this is all like a flat or a ledge or channel swing up here, you put the boat right here. Now he's scoping out in the open water and up on the channel edge and stuff, but he's kicking the trolling motor here. So I'm sitting here at the drop shot, putting it on the edge, putting it up on the structure, on the brush piles that are there. So we're fishing 2 completely separate populations of fish, and it may not be the 1A plus stuff, but one guy on 1A stuff or 2 guys on B plus stuff. Give me the 2 guys on B plus stuff over the 1 guy on A stuff, because you're literally, that's the difference between fishing for 8 hours and 16 hours.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's exactly how we did it. 100% exactly how we did it. And it works, and it's fair to both guys. Cause I'll be honest with you, when he's on scope mode, it's no fun for the guy not scoping. It's terrible. But we do it this way. So we're both catching fish, and I'm catching stuff he's not catching, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's more effective The free rig gave us a few fish, but it didn't put a lot in the boat the other day, which surprised me. But they were just, like I said, that turnover happened, and I think those fish are just starting to settle in, because they were not aggressive. It wasn't like the bites were like, bam, you'd be dragging that jig, and you would go, that ain't right. You know what I mean? I'm in the hard bottom, and all of a sudden it's soft. That ain't right. And you'd lean in on them, and you'd have them. That's pretty much how the bite was. So yeah, it was fun though.
The other thing I say too is when you are on that open water bite. I mean, I've rarely, I think I saw on a Champlain one time where it was like 100%. But one of the other things you do, like if he's throwing a drop shot, I'll have a Nico tied on.
Nico.
Or if one guy's throwing a 3 or 4 inch minnow, I'll go with a 6 or a 7 inch minnow. Or if he's big monoing, I'll go with a smaller minnow. Or if he's throwing the Nico, I'll have a drop shot. So when you have fish that, even if it's a 20, 30% conversion rate to cast to catch,
Right, right,
it's so
right.
much better to where, you get the one guy puts it on it, follows it, doesn't bite it, put the drop shot on him, see what he does. And then boom, right there where you've got that fish hot, you've got the other guy that's behind him and he puts the drop shot and you can watch that fish go down. You're like, oh, are they more bottom oriented? Or you could have, they're high in the water column and the guy with the minnows up there, the guy with the jerk baits up there, and you switch it to where you're actually kind of tag teaming it and actually team fishing for the same fish using forward facing sonar. It's not just one guy, casting to the same fish over and over again. You're putting different presentations. So like I make sure, either I'm like, typically what we do is typically he's the minnow guy or the jerk bait guy. And then I'm the drop shot, Nico rig, giant minnow, tiny minnow, spoon guy.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, because here's the other thing too. A lot of times that you'll be shaking a minnow and they'll follow it and then they quit on it. They quit on it. They quit on it. And then you throw a jerk bait down there and you pull it down there and clack, 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 pause, clack, 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 and that fish just annihilates it. Because it's a different action, it's a different look in the water, and it triggers the bite. Where, when we were hybrid fishing, that's what we were doing. I was burning a speed end and throwing a jerk bait. When Troy was minnowing, I was doing that and catching them, because I was triggering bites. Where the minnow is more of a hunger thing, a feed, a feeding strategy. The jerk bait, the burning the speed and gets that reaction bite. So there's ways to do it for sure. The thing is like I would say that you got to almost have a Ned too in that situation.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
the Ned has, so the Nico for me
is your
Frank
Ned.
Has replaced the Ned a lot, and I think it's because I can get the Nico down a little bit faster. Like, to me, I'm not a heavy Ned guy, and maybe I need to be. But a Nico will, when you rig it perfectly straight, will fall straight, and that Ned will wander.
Yeah,
and I like spiral. If I'm trying to accurately put it on something, especially if I'm with another guy who's running it, and honestly, it gets to the point where, if I'm making a cast here and he's making a cast here and he's running the trolling motor, he'll watch where my stuff lands, see if there's a fish on it. He'll know that it's 10 or 15 feet from the fish. He'll find his fish, make his cast while his stuff is floating. He'll go back to my stuff, see what's going on that. If nothing's taking interest on that, then he'll go back and check his. So we're literally standing side by side, and he's running on a 0 degree and I do the same thing, 2 casts at the same time. And it's not frustrating. You're working in tandem because you're not saying, oh, go to, I mean, sometimes you have a guy go, oh, left, right. But when it works, what I'm saying is, I think you bring up a great point, because, whether you don't have a boat, whether you do have a boat, whether you're the guy with forward facing, whether you're used to running it and you're not, if you're saying you're getting screwed by it, there are instances where you are. Just like there are instances where when the fish are really tight to the frickin' bank, and you've got a guy who's paralleling a riprap with a crankbait, or a guy who's flipping very tiny isolated pieces of cover,
you're hosed.
You're hosed, just like you are in the open water when you got a guy who's doing figure eights out there chasing roamers. But
100%.
The vast majority of the time, I think you see guys who are very close-minded to, oh, I don't like to go with him because he scopes, or I'm not fishing this as a co-angler because it's going to be a scope tournament. You are close-minded to the opportunities that present themselves to you. And you either need to learn how to work as a team or how to work with what you're given as a co-angler there. Like I said, middle of the lake, random roaming fish, there's certain things you can do to up your odds, whether it's an umbrella rig or whether it's a little swimmer on a jig head or whatever. But you're just as screwed going with the guy who's ticking the rocks, cranking down the bank on a 500-yard stretch of riprap.
When I fished the Jerry Ryan Trail way back in the day, I lost a coin toss and I had to go as a co-angler in the guy's boat. No big deal. I was on fish, good fish. I knew what I needed, so I packed a little bag of shit that I had because I knew what I was catching them on, and no matter where this guy went, I was catching fish. So I didn't worry about it. I packed my little bag, grabbed my 4 rods, hopped in the guy's boat. First thing he does, he blows all the way up the Clinch River, pulls up on a bluff wall, puts his boat on the bluff wall. He's paralleling the wall with a Bagley prop bait. And I'm
that's
like,
tedious because that's not moving very fast.
no. And I'm literally sitting like this, leaning against the bluff wall, watching him catch fish. You know what I mean? And that was aggravating at best, but I knew that once we got done with the bluff, I was going to start catching fish again, and surely I did. After we got off that bluff wall, but that's a situation where there was not even live scope, wasn't even invented then, and here I am sitting in the boat with absolutely no cast except behind the boat, straight behind the boat, right up against the wall, and I threw a shaky head. It's the only thing I could do while he's up there, with the boats literally touching the bluff. I just cast behind the boat, you know what I mean, and just used a shaky head because that's all I had. That's all I could do at that time. And it was aggravating for sure. So you could not have scope and get screwed to the wall. I mean, you could. I mean, let's be honest. If you're flipping, if you're on a good flipping bite, right? Let's say they're on boat docks, and you know that every time you come to the tee in the boat dock, you're going to catch one, and the guy in the front of the boat is hitting every single tee.
Oh, you can screw. I mean, boat docks are the ultimate. A co-angler who understands boat docks, boat docks are the ultimate separator, I believe, between good and bad co-anglers.
I agree.
Do you understand anglers? Do you understand duration of a cast? Do you understand how to fish and put your bait in areas where your boater isn't? Do you understand how to make casts to where if you get bit, your boater isn't 3 poles down when you set the hook, and now you've got a freaking Jenga puzzle to get the thing out of there? Like
100%.
Like that's a game in and of itself, and you can tell, at least I can, within about 30 seconds whether you've got a guy who's going to be hung up in boat lifts all day, or whether you got to mind your P's and Q's. And, as you go into a dock, like it totally depends on how you set up as to, okay, this guy can 3 skip it over cat a corner to the dock that I'm not going to. And how am I going to position it? Because, this guy's still going to be able to hit angles that I'm not, because boat docks are all about angles. And when you're in the back of the boat, you have a different angle. So even 100%. If you're on a dock that the guy has fished, a good co-angler will understand that. I'm going a little bit of a rant here. A good co-angler will understand that his angle is going to be different.
It is.
And a great, let me say this, a great co-angler will understand that that angle is going to be different, and he is not going to push you to move fast, because the faster you move as a boater, the fewer opportunities you have as a co-angler to get your bait where it needs to be. A good co-angler will do that, and then will slide in the cat a corner knowing that you are about to hit that next corner, get a piece of the shade on the next dock when you're going down a row of docks in front of you. That's not a great co-angler, because that guy knows what he's doing, and he knows he's trying to take a fish. A great co-angler will let you fish at your own pace and do that. And then you've got the guys who are always hung up in the boat hoist. That's where I recommend, hey, here's a wacky rig Cinco, just pitch it to these corners, open your bail.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Troy and I fish together a lot, and when we're on Norman, we're doing a lot of boat docking. So I'll have my jig on, and I'll have my flick shake on, and Troy will dissect the dock where you will be very lucky if you could even have a cast at it. That's how good he is at it. He could skip any lure all the way underneath the dock to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's a tough boat dock contender. So I'll throw the jig and the flick shake, and that's exactly what I do. I take the angles that he has no chance of hitting on the front deck. And you'd be surprised how many times we go fish for fish on a boat dock.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that means not casting for 30 seconds.
Oh, 100%.
That means seeing that angle, knowing that your guy's going in, out, and around. And if you make this cast, by the time you get in, set up, and cast, he's on it and that angle's gone. But you might have a 3-second window to get your jig, to get your beaver, to get your bait into a slot that while you're paying attention to your stuff, you know that he hasn't hit and hasn't had the angle to hit. Justin Phillips, he said, I was always a conger from hell. I would fish all the docks on the opposite side going in or out.
Yeah, that used to.
I'm not saying I did that too when I was younger, but all it takes is someone to kindly but firmly say, hey,
we're gonna get there.
Here's how this works.
Yeah, so that's what I would tell my co-angler. I said, don't worry about the other side. We're gonna get there. I said, you'll catch fish. Believe me, I'll let you catch fish. I'm not gonna be stingy. But the thing about it is that patience is a virtue when you're dock fishing, because if you take the shot before the angle's presented to you, more likely than not, you're going to snag on something, or you're going to get a bite where you're not going to be able to get the fish back. Mm-hmm. And so the angle's critical with boat docks. And like I said, the guy on the front deck, you could fish a lot of different angles on the front deck, but there's certain shots you can't take on the front deck that is way easier on the back of the boat. And so you just got to be patient. And here, look, you're going to catch fish that the guy on the front of the boat doesn't have a prayer to catch. It's just how it goes.
Now, let me ask you this, and I have an opinion, but I would love to hear your opinion on it. If you're fishing as a co-angler, let's say in a BFL or a nation or anything like that, do you think it behooves co-anglers to throw baits that are heavier than average or baits that are lighter? I'm thinking a 5/8 ounce jig instead of a 3/16 ounce jig. I'm thinking a 1/2 ounce flipping weight instead of a 1/4 ounce flipping weight. When it comes to that, I'm thinking a 1/8 Nico instead of a 1/16 Nico. I have a theory for this. I'm just curious on your thoughts on it in general.
Okay. My rule of thumb is I throw the lightest possible weight I can get by with and still be effective. However, if the guy on the front of the boat is moving at Mach 10, you got to have a heavier weight to get to where you got to get before you have to reel it in and make another cast because the guy's moving 300 miles an hour. So it's all going to depend upon how your boater is fishing, whether or not you're going to go lighter or heavier. The other thing is I've seen too many times where the heavier weight won't get the bite and the lighter weight always does. Now, I've also seen where the heavier weight gets the bite and the lighter weight doesn't. And usually when that occurs, usually you're fishing grass, because there are times when the bass are buried up in the base of the grass stalks. And if you can't get to them, you can't get the bite. That's when the heavier weight becomes more important. But in situations like a boat dock, for example, that slow fall takes the suspending fish from around the dock to it. And so I think the slow fall in boat dock fishing is a little more critical. Now, unless the fish are spawning and they're spawning at the base of the dock poles, then you got to get the bait straight down the dock pole to get the fish. And that's where the heavier weight is important, because it won't pendulum away from the pole. It'll go down the pole. And so that's my theory. But like I said, Matt, it depends how fast the guy's moving the boat.
My theory is from what I've seen, and I haven't fished as, a quote serious co-angler in a long time, but the guys behind me have typically always been using heavier baits as a rule of thumb than lighter baits. And here's my theory on it. If I'm in the front, I'm going to have the first shot most likely at the highest percentage ambush places.
Correct. And you're going to catch the aggressive ones.
And I'm going to catch the aggressive fish. So even if whether I'm using a 1/4, a 3/8, or a 1/2, there's a good percentage of fish that are going to hit that bait or follow that bait on that initial fall, and those fish are gone. Right?
Yes.
So
agreed.
My theory is if you're going to fish as a co-angler, a lot of your bites are going to be one of two bites. Bites that the boater missed and didn't realize that he missed them. Fish that came on hot on his bait, he flipped in, he was saying, hey, I'm getting bit on the first drop or whatever, and you've got this fish that goes, wow, I want that. But the guy's on to the next one, and then you flip in, bango.
Correct.
That I saw that. I have seen that on Grand numerous times. Jeffries and I have even fished team tournaments on Grand where I'm throwing a jig on dock poles, and I'm only catching him when he's throwing a freaking topwater because he loves throwing topwater in the fall. There's no joke. This is serious. Serious. I'm not kidding. So he would be throwing that OG Vixen, and you go, not catching him. But then I flip to the dock post, donk, and I catch him. So then he picks up a jig. And we're not catching him. He picks a topwater up. He's not catching him. I start catching him. I'm like, dude, you're freaking pulling the fish out from behind the dock with your topwater. They're not eating it, but those fish are going, okay, I want it. Where is it?
Exactly.
Jig, bam. And I mean, they're hitting it. So it's like a tandem 1-2 punch, right? Yeah. So my theory with the co is you're going to have you're going to have the feeding bite. So the fish that guy does, boom, and you're going to get a reaction bite. And you're going to be able to put your bait in places easier and quicker and get it down to the fish more, the heavier your bait is.
Well, that's factual. I mean that's just a fact of flipping and pitching with a heavier weight. You're going to get down faster. You're going to be more accurate. It's easier. You don't have to muscle a cast.
Right.
You could actually be more stealthy because you could just let it go out there, thumb it all the way in. That barely makes a ripple on the water. Where sometimes with the lighter ones, you got to force it under there to skip it up under there, and it's a lot of commotion.
Even the guys with the drop shots that have caught them behind me, 1/2 ounce weight, 3/8 ounce weight, shoom, they're getting that bait down. They're getting a reaction bite from the fish that didn't want my bait that I was really working through that area. They're alerted because they know something's there, and then doom, something goes past them and they don't even think about it. The good anglers, 1/2 ounce, 5/8 ounce jigs, 3/8, 1/2 ounce. That's Ozark stuff. That's no grass. That's dock, rock, isolated cover, that type of stuff there. The better co-anglers, even the heavier neds. I remember Robbie Bartozek, I still talk to him to this day, kicked my butt on Table Rock, and he was throwing a heavy Ned behind me, catching smallmouth out of the gravel, and I was throwing a 16th ounce Nico.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even getting down to him, and what he figured out was the smallmouth were spawning in the guts on that gravel on the end of the docks in 12 to 14 foot of water. And I was just getting down on it to where I'd get the males that would come up and grab it, even the spotted bass, and he was getting the Ned down. And I mean, he had like 14.5 and I had like 12. I mean, he just caught consistently better fish because he was using a heavier bait than I was.
Yeah, but I understand that at Table Rock.
Yeah.
I totally understand that at Table Rock. That's just how it goes. That's how the year they canceled the Bassmaster event there, the elite event, I was hammering the smallmouth, doing exactly that. Hammering them. And the lake was rising 6 to 7 feet every day. And by the time the last day of practice came, they kicked us all off the lake because it was in flood stage and water was going over the dam in Branson, and they made us go home. And I was like, oh my God, I'm catching over 20 pounds a day. This is crazy. And we had to go. I remember that. Mark Tucker was there, and I'm like, Tuck, let's stay and fish. I'm smashing. He goes, no, we got to get out of here because they're closing the lake. And then I ran into Creed on the way in. I'm like, Creed, tie your boat up. Come on, dude, let's go whale on some fish before we got to leave. And he's like, no, they want us off the water and blah, blah, blah. You know, I told the story before on this show, but yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, it was a smallmouth freaking bonanza on that lake, and to the likes of which I've never seen there, and I've never had it happen there again. And I think it was all the water coming through the system and the fact that the smallmouth were staging on the deep gravel. Well, it wasn't deep at the time, but on the gravel to spawn, and they just never left it. So the more water that piled over their head, they just stayed where they were. One day it's 15 feet, 2 days later it's 20. But they never left the gravel, and that's what I was doing exactly. I was throwing a jig head and a yummer, and God Almighty, was I catching them, man! But yeah,
we're gonna bring on a special guest here once I actually get the correct link to him. Remember John Stewart? He worked for Bass.
Yeah,
I've been on his show a couple times out of Kansas. They do it on the Kansas Bass Nation, but he runs a lodge on Grand Lake too.
Oh, sweet!
And one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about today, we're talking about we got into the scoping deal. I thought that was a good conversation.
Well, it's such dude. It's such a divisive topic.
It doesn't have to be, though.
Right. That's exactly right. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it just doesn't have to be. I hate being in the boat when Frankie's scoping. I'll be honest with you. It's no fun for me, but we find a way to make it work. You have to find a way to make it work.
I like co-anglers. I enjoy having them in the boat. It's different without them. I think once you reach a certain level that the co-anglers, especially good co-anglers, impact the day positively for their professional anglers more so than hurt the
agree.
pros once you get to the top, which is why I don't think they should be there, because more often than not, I think you're going to have guys who are clueless who their co-angler clues them on to something that then they catch them that they wouldn't have, more so than, oh, this guy didn't win because there was a co-angler with him.
100%.
Especially at the lower
100%.
levels and stuff. I've been on record for years and years and years of saying it is an integral part. It is an important stepping stone for some. It is, I mean, that's how you enjoy it. Like, you don't have aspirations to own a boat, run a boat, drive around, all that stuff. Like, you just want to go fishing and enjoy it, and you enjoy the competition aspect, and you understand how it works. But I feel like it's gotten a bad rap. I feel like a lot of the co-anglers, I don't want to generalize. There are co-anglers these days who do not, just like there are boaters who do not adapt to the changing times. There are co-anglers who have not adapted to the changing times, and they are pinning their lack of success on their inability to adapt, not on the fact that there are not opportunities to catch fish. Yeah, and that's 100%. In the vast majority of stuff. I'm sure there are some BFL divisions where everything's floaters out in the middle of the lake. Even then, my thought on that is, if it's legal and you're in a tournament, there's going to be a first, there's going to be a last. The goal is to come in with the 3, 4, 5, whatever the limit is, heaviest bass. Everybody is fishing under those same circumstances. And yeah, it might not be how you used to do it. Like, if you're on Hartwell, you might not just both pull up to a point and start chunking a weighted fluke out and have a 50-50 chance. But guess what? There's still going to be a co-angler who wins at the end of the day. There's still going to be all the co-anglers who cast the checks at the end of the day. And if you look at it, it's usually the same guys over and over. If it wasn't, if it was totally random, then everyone would have an equal chance and everybody would be cashing checks however many % of the time based on what the field is.
Right. It's adaptability, and guys, it's using your head out there. If you get angry and frustrated, you're taking yourself right out of the game, because you're putting too much energy on being angry and frustrated, and not enough energy on what could you do better to catch a fish behind the guy you're fishing with.
Well, let's bring John in, because John was the Federation Nation tournament director and the Bass Nation tournament director with Bass, and he's worked with Bass all the time. I bet he doesn't anymore. I bet he has some good co-angler stories, and I bet I just occurred to me, I bet he would have no problem just emitting. I'm speaking on his behalf now. Emitting some names.
You're totally.
But dude, the guy does. He's got no dog in the fight anymore. What's up, John Stewart? How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for jumping on. Am I correct in that? I mean, and if you don't want to dive into that, don't. But I don't know what the statute of limitations is or whatever on that. But I would imagine, I mean, you worked with Bass. You ran probably outside, the BFL and the Bass Nation. I mean, you dealt with a lot of boater / co-angler issues, I would imagine, back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, so many. I mean, the problem is that I'm old now, and so they don't really stick out. They just kind of all lump together. Once in a while, I'll be chatting with somebody, and something will come up, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I remember that guy that did this or whatever." Um, most of the time, honestly, um, if I'm being completely honest, I really didn't have that much problem throughout my time. Uh, there was a few angler disputes, whatever. Um, I think you can take care of a lot of that in your pre-tournament meetings.
100%. 100%.
And Matt, I was I was a black and white guy, tournament guy. Didn't mess around, didn't mince words in the tournament meeting, didn't want to hear frivolous crap, that just wasn't going to go anywhere. And you knew that. If you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you knew that, Matt, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think most of the problems I had was back in the old team days. Uh, when you had divisionals and you had state teams and you had 12 people on a team or 20 people on a team or 6 people on a team, whatever it was at the time. And my biggest issue was having teams complaining about other teams like taking their guys out in the middle of the
Oh, so they
lake.
wouldn't win because they knew. Yeah.
If there was a team doing well and a team that wasn't, Oklahoma was doing well and Kansas was not doing well, and Kansas guys drew some Oklahoma guys, they would be accused of, taking them out in the middle and not letting them catch some fish so they could win the tournament. I had probably more of that than angler issues, really.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, there's some pretty crazy stuff that went on throughout my time, but
Not
really not a lot of angler stuff, really.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, my career in Bassmasters, you have 3 co-anglers a tournament, sometimes 4 if you're lucky enough to make the split. I can count on half a hand the co-anglers that I would never fish with again.
Hey,
Yeah.
Frank, do you know how John combated that in one of the last nations that he ran? If you have a team that catches him, takes him out, he just put us on Milford where there weren't bass on the bank or out in the middle. So you didn't have to worry about screwing anybody because nobody was catching them once the 7 fish on the dam got caught on day 1.
Perfect. Good strategy, Jeff.
Milford Lake. I will never say is a fantastic fishery. However, you can catch fish, and as Eastern Fothergill will
channel catfish
show you by his results, he won the college bracket on that lake, which means, you win a tournament on Milford, you become a classic champion.
That's that. If you look at the data, that's what it would suggest.
That's correct.
Oh man, do you still do stuff with the ABA or anything, or are you like totally out of the tournament, the director game?
I do run an ABA division here on Grand. Why, I don't know. But what they asked me, for years there was a division on Grand Lake, and they asked. I've got some buddies that run one in Kansas and run one on Stockton Lake in Missouri, and they said, "Hey, why don't you run one on Grand, and we'll kind of run them all together, gather prizes together and stuff like that." And I said, "Well, I said if they'll let me do them on Wednesdays, I'm good, because I can't do them on the weekends. Got too much to do, or I'm fishing a tournament, and ABA said I could do them whenever I wanted to do them. So I do an ABA division on Wednesdays. I'm getting ready to come up with next year's schedule. I think we'll start in November, do a November, December tournament, and then probably a March, April, May, June tournament.
I used
Day.
to I used to fish ABA back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good. They were well run.
Yeah, I mean we do. Go ahead.
So John, when you do Wednesday, you're doing an all day event. You're not doing a Wednesday evening. It's an all day event.
Yep. It's all day.
That's not bad.
No, and we, I know a lot of guys can't get off work or whatever, but there is a lot of guys on Grand Lake that do run their own businesses or just fish, and we get a lot of those. We get pretty much all the big sticks on Grand are fishing it, and it's kind of fun. I fish it. That's the other reason ABA allows the tournament director to fish.
Oh, super!
So I have our pastor and his family helps me run the tournaments, and the boys are eat up with fishing, tournament fishermen, and they I leave the keys to the truck, and when I come back in an hour before weigh-in, it's usually set up and ready to go. So
you can't beat that.
No, it's pretty awesome.
Beat that.
I just did find that stat from 2021 Junction City, Kansas. What? So I finished 15th in that event out of 80 anglers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say out of 14.
No, out of 80 anglers. We fished this is 3 full 8.5 hour competition days on the jewel of Kansas, Milford Lake. I had a grand total of 10 pounds, 9 ounces for 3 days of competition and finished 15th out of 80th. I vividly remember this. I caught 4 fish in 3 days, and 3 of those fish came on back-to-back casts to start the first morning out. I then went 7.5 hours the remainder of that day, 8 hours the following day, and 7.5 hours the following day after that in tournament competition without a single bite from a largemouth or smallmouth bass. Caught a random 2-pound smallmouth with 10 minutes left over 100 foot of water on a jerk bait, and that's how I ended up finishing 15th with 10 pounds, 9 ounces.
Outstanding.
What was the fishing like the 3 practice days leading up to that tournament?
It was much better. Now, granted, the 70-degree temperature drop and the 7 inches of snow after we had 82-degree I'm not kidding. We had like an 80-degree day of practice, and when we launched on the tournament morning, it was like 32.
Yeah, and snow.
Yeah, there was like 7 inches of snow.
So Matt, you left out some mitigating circumstances here. I just want to say.
I will say that probably the worst tournament as a director I've ever been involved with was Milford, and that was the the nation championship in 2008.
What was the deal? What happened?
It was Milford. That's the deal. I mean, there's no other deal.
The deal was exactly what happened with Matt's tournament. Is we went and we had the practice days were beautiful. The unofficial practice day, the 3 days that they weren't actually practice days. They were just days before the tournament because there was an off limits. But the days we were there setting up, me and Pee, I don't know if you remember Pee Wee.
Yeah,
was on the crew. So Pee Wee and I and the crew were setting up. Beautiful. It was November and beautiful. I think it was November. It might have been October. Beautiful weather. 70 degrees every day. Calm. The anglers show up for their first day, the day before the first day of practice, and that night the wind starts blowing.
Of course it does.
And when I say it's blowing, I mean it's blowing like 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds. And this was back when we had Skeeter provided all the boats for the anglers. And so we had all the boats, everything set up. We had Fort Riley. Soldiers were the observers.
Oh, sweet.
It was a very cool event. I hate that it didn't go very well fishing wise because it was very cool. And that morning we showed up for practice and it was blowing 40 miles an hour. And so we couldn't go. And I think I let them go one practice day, and honestly should not have. Like it was blowing hard, not any lighter than it did the day before.
There's really nowhere to get out of it on that lake either.
We had to get a practice day in, or at least I thought we did. So it might have been a little bit lighter, but I let them go. And it was not good. We tore up some boats.
Oh yeah, you'll do that.
Guys that didn't know how to run. It was a mistake on my part. I'll be honest with you. And then but then the first two, I think, competition days were canceled.
Oh
my gosh.
It blew 40 mile an hour for 7 days straight.
Holy smoke.
All night long. Like I would wake up at 2 a.m. praying that I did not hear the wind. And I did for 7 days straight. Like I'd wake up and it'd just be howling.
Holy
outside.
cow, I found it.
And I'm like, this is crazy. And we ended up, we even had to extend the day. We had to extend the day, or the tournament. It was supposed to be over Saturday, maybe.
How's it right there?
Oh, great. That's awesome. Look at the face.
Look how windy it is.
Look at the faces of the anglers. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's being dejected.
So those pictures are of the canceled days because the anglers.
There's nothing to take pictures of.
There's nothing to do. So Fort Riley, and they went all out. Fort Riley went all out for this event. Like I went up for a pre-visit, and I met with the commanding general of Fort Riley for this fishing tournament. And when they brought us in, I was in this room that had this long table with like 40 chairs down the side, and the general sat at one end and I sat at the other end. It was like a king, like you'd see in a king's and he wanted to know all about this tournament and what that we needed from them and blah blah blah. And that's how we worked out the observers and getting that. Well, when the days were canceled, he arranged for buses to come pick up the anglers and give them a tour of Fort Riley.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And when I say a tour, he took them in the war room that no civilian goes in.
Oh, wow.
Like we were in a room that had TV, all these TVs on one wall that had live shots of like Afghanistan and Iraq and wherever there were soldiers. This is the room that they watched them in.
Man, alive, dude.
From satellite crazy. And he said nobody's ever been in that. No civilian has ever been in this room.
Wow.
And the anglers got to see that.
That's pretty neat.
So you ended up fishing 2 days. I found this is a really cool tournament. I did not know about it. It wasn't. It sucked. But
It did suck.
the 20 years later, it's cool. We're talking about it now because you probably know, and almost all of our listeners probably know who won that tournament. You ended up getting 2 days in.
Yeah.
Schmitty.
Yeah.
Brian Schmidt won that tournament.
Yeah. We fished one day, and then I think we extended it because the next day blew again. Like it was one of those days. The first day we fished probably shouldn't have fished, and then the second day blew just as hard, and then the third day we got a break on the weather, and so we extended the day or the week because I wanted to give them at least one good day on the lake. And I figured, well, the fish haven't been bothered, for, so that
a week
fishing,
and a half.
Yeah.
Neither of the fish had been bothered.
Yeah. So I do have one other story I'll tell on myself.
Well, is this about this tournament? Because I got the weights on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neither of the 4 bass were disturbed.
Then we'll go through the weights because both of those fish got caught by Schmidt. Continue.
So this tournament, at the nation championship, we provided, busing and the boats and all that, breakfast and lunches for the boats and all that. Well, every day the lunches would be delivered and we wouldn't go. So the first 4 days that were canceled, I'm like, just give the lunches to the soldiers, let them take them, and we'll go on. Well, I don't remember whether we ended on, I guess we ended on Saturday. So anyway, so Friday gets here and we can't go. And that's the last day that the lunches are going to be made. And so we're talking with the weather people, trying to decide what to do. Can we move it to Saturday? Can we not? Blah, blah, blah. I finally make the decision to move it to Saturday. And I come out of the building and all my crew is around and my wife is on the crew as well. So you got Pee Wee, you got my wife, you got several other guys. So I'm already frustrated. I'm pissed off. My fuse is, that long, and we have to change everything and extend everything, hotels, everything. Well, I knew that I would not be able to get the lunches redone because the place that was doing them wasn't open on that day, or I didn't want to spring it on them or whatever. So I'm like, so I walk out and I tell Pee Wee, grab the lunches, put them in the cooler for tomorrow. And Pee Wee says, we gave them to the soldiers. And I lost it. I had my backpack on. I threw my backpack across the parking lot. I said several choice words to Pee Wee, who is my mentor and loved dearly. Said several choice words to him, and the whole entire crew. Like I let everybody have it. Like who gave the order to give the blah, 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 I just lost it. And I asked Pee Wee, I'm like, who said give the lunches to the soldiers?
He said, you did.
No, he said, Valerie, your wife.
Your wife. Oh, that's a good idea now.
Oh yeah. So you're in a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. So we all go to breakfast. There's a breakfast place that we would go to, and we all go to breakfast. Everybody's calming down, and everybody leaves to go back to the hotel. I go out in the parking lot. They're gone. Like I'm riding with somebody, but they're all gone. Like they left me at the
Because they're like nobody wanted to be near you.
Yeah. After I chewed them out,
That's funny.
they didn't want no part of me for the rest of the day.
And that's what made you open up a lodge on Grand Lake.
Well, we're about to get to the lodge, but here's some interesting stuff from this tournament. The 2008 Bassmaster Federation Nation National Championship. That's when they had the division. So there was one angler from each of the divisions that went to the Bassmaster Classic. That was your Federation Nation angler back then. Very prestigious. Only 50 anglers in that tournament. I think maybe an international guy. Brandon Polinick was in that field in 2008. This was 3 years before he made the Elite Series through the Bass Nation and then finished third of that classic. Obviously, Schmitty, who we know is one of the most winningest anglers, the Potomac Grass. He wins the tournament. He wins the 2-day tournament. He catches one fish for 1 pound 14 ounces on day one, 2 for 714 on day two, including almost a 4-pounder on a Terminator titanium spinnerbait, which is like the most Midwestern spinnerbait ever. They're out of Tulsa there. Wins it, 2-day total, 3 fish, 9 pounds, 12 ounces.
Outstanding. Hey, it doesn't matter, dude. It's just about the W.
It gets better. Over half of the field zeroed. 25th on, 2 full days of fishing, never caught a keeper bass. Then you get to 17th place, Wayne Pittman. He goes out on day one. He catches 1 bass for 1 pound, 15 ounces, 14 and 3/4 inch bass. Goose eggs the second day. Why is that important? Because in 17th place, he won the Southern Division of the Bass Nation Federation Nation. He was the highest finishing angler. He made the Bassmaster Classic by catching 1 bass that weighed 1 pound, 15 ounces, went on to fish in the Classic that next year, made 10 grand on it. So it was technically a $10,000 bass for him. That 1 pound, 15 ounce bass that he caught on one day.
Yep. And the reason why we fished, so if you remember, Matt, I believe that was the year that the Classic moved, or maybe the following year, the Classic was moving from summer to spring, August to March or whatever. And because of how the qualification works, I believe we had a nation championship in the spring of 2007. And then we had another one in the fall of 2008 to get the timing right of who got to move on to the Classic.
Anyway, that's way too much information about Milford Lake, but good stories. Every once in a while, you just stumble into a gem. All right. So I've also come to the conclusion, John, that you have some like self-loathing tendencies. Like you have something, because the 2 things that you've decided to do to make a living in life are 1, tournament director, and 2, own a fishing lodge on a lake. Neither of which sound like relaxing, enjoyable endeavors. But I know one of the things I wanted to get you on here is I know the Toyota Series Championship coming to Grand here shortly. Pretty much everyone comes to Grand now. We got a Bassmaster Open that's coming here the end of April, beginning of May next year, and you run the Lake Lodge at Grand Lake of the Cherokees.
Correct.
So anyway, we've been friends for a long time. I wanted to just get you on to ask you how that's going.
It's actually going really well. We got the fishermen pretty figured out. Like we're pretty full if not full on the weekends that there's a tournament, which is pretty much every weekend between March and June, the end of June, and then September through the end of November. Like we're very busy right now with weekend tournaments. We have an opening once in a while. Like this weekend, we have the Coast of Bass Derby is here, 20 grand, first place guaranteed. And we do have 1 availability for this weekend if anybody's fishing that and available. But
Matt, go back to that picture with all the boats. Yeah, is that your setup for the guys to charge?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Covered,
So-
lighted, individual outlets for each guy. It looks like there's 5 covered things
So
right there.
so we have 2. That's actually, I need to get an updated picture. So we actually have 2 buildings. That's our building. That's an actual picture of our building. We're standing in one, and the
Okay, so there's another one just like it. So you can cover what, 10 boats?
10 boats. And
Wow.
there's actually 12 spaces, but we have picnic tables and outdoor TV, and you can sit around and watch the game while you retie, whatever.
There you go.
Oh
there's
my
there's a picture
gosh.
of it. And I can't take all the credit for this. I have a buddy that lives on Kentucky Lake, and the Lake Lodge at Paris Landing is exactly like this. So if you're
That's money, dude.
so if you're fishing Kentucky Lake or Grand Lake or Chickamauga, there's one on Chickamauga too. The Lake Lodge at Chickamauga, Paris Landing, Grand Lake, and it's pull through covered parking. Um, we
That
don't.
is money.
We have 10 rooms. We do have 2 RV pads. You can see the RV
Mhm.
there, and we have 2 RV pads. A fire pit that's not in that picture right
What
now.
part of the lake is this on, John?
This is just north of Sailboat Bridge.
Oh, so do you have a launch ramp there?
No, we're not on the
Okay.
water. We are 7 minutes from Wolf Creek. We're
Oh, wow.
a minute from the old Red 11 ramp. I use that a lot. We kind of cater to the fishermen, but and most of them are returning guests now that we've been here 2 years. But we do have times when we're not full, and it's the bigger tournaments. It's the Toyota series. We're not full. We have like 5 rooms left. And I know, and like next year we have a BPT, and like you said, there's an open coming here. And I know a lot of guys have their buddies and they like to do the Airbnb thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. But every time I've stayed in there in Airbnb, I've had to fight for a parking space, and it's crowded. And honestly, our rates are cheaper than most Airbnbs, and you don't have to deal with that. You got your own room, your own bathroom. We're kind of combating that for the Toyota series. I think a lot of guys are staying at Airbnbs, and I think the opens, we don't have a lot of guests signed up for that yet either.
Or opens, guys. We do things last minute, John.
I know, but
Yeah,
then we run out.
You guys, man, that's the setup right there.
I feel like you need to hire Frank to come in and maybe maybe do one Frank Scalish signature room, and then you can charge double for it. You walk in, you got some custom artwork here.
Yeah,
you got maybe a life size. You could take a picture of a life size picture of Frank.
We'll hang the big
wall. You get his favorite mattress in there.
Yeah,
it's like a theme room.
Yeah, I mean the rates are $100 a night. I mean you can't hardly beat it. And they're the same. Yeah, $100 a night, and it's the same price at Paris Landing and Chickamauga. $100 a night. And
holy smokes, man.
I don't know if they do this at Chickamauga or Paris Landing, but we give free ice. So we have an ice chest out front of each building, and we bag our own. We've got an ice machine here. We bag our own, and you can grab 2 bags of ice in the morning. I mean, that's $10, right there. And so it's really $90 a night. And like I said, when it's raining, you're sitting out with the lights on, retying, watching whoever, OU or
that.
If you're here, you're probably watching the Cubs or the Broncos.
But I could also see as it gets colder. I mean, I think Grand Lake, really underrated hybrid. Striper Lake, really underrated crappie lake. And I don't think it's underrated. I think everyone knows about it. But the blue cats here that the guys get out in the wintertime are off the chain.
Yeah.
So you've got, that's where the covered stuff comes in handy too. Also, not only when it's hot and stuff, but also in the winter as you get, do they do spoonbill and stuff on Grand too?
They do. That's big. That's big time. I think they're scoping them now.
Yeah. But the hybrids are, Frank, when you come down in January, if you didn't have a hybrid lake near you, I took Matt Steffen there for a day and he said it was the most fun he's ever had. I mean, schools of thousands of 23 to 25 inch hybrids, which will be 26 master angler size this year, and then they'll all die because they don't reproduce. Yeah. But I mean, for the next couple of years, it's going to be a banging hybrid lake too, which it wasn't when you first bought the lodge, was it, John?
No, not really, but it is now. Answer Jim's question. Each room, all the rooms are the same. They have 2 beds, 2 full-size beds, coffee maker, mini fridge, microwave in each room. We have a gas grill at one building, and we have a Blackstone at the other building.
Oh, geez.
That you're welcome to use. We even have, my wife and I live around the corner in one of the campers there until we build a house. We have an acre on the other side of the tree row here that we're going to build a house, but we're in the camper right now. And we have a smoker that we let people use. If you have a big group, like a whole club, we just had your Wednesday night group here, Matt. I think
so. I need to clarify some things there. So I jump in and co-angle that with Austin Cranford sometimes. Austin is the one who fishes that trail. I just jump in and co-angle with them. Some of those guys may or may not want to slash his tires. I feel like when I fish with them there, they
whatever. Whatever.
Austin came in and kind of was like, well, there's one other kid who fishes it who's like really good for a college out there, and he like wins everything. And I was like, you'd be at the bottom of this lake, Austin, if it wasn't for this kid who's fished with them since they were 8. And he's like, I can't beat him.
They stayed here. He fishes at Montevallo.
Super nice guy. I'm kind of joking. A lot of the guys are nice. Some of the guys are
you could
not
tell,
friendly.
You could tell there was a little bit of tension between them and the.
Yeah, but that's mainly Austin. That's me. I just show up and just co-scope. That's our first half of the show. On that, I'll claim Shawnee Twin Lakes, but that one I just fill in for Austin when he needs it. So none of that's directed towards me.
Like in all honesty, the convenience of that covered boat thing blows me away, because there were so many times fishing Bassmasters that the weather was 100% brutal out, and you got to get all your stuff rigged, and I would go to a drive-through car wash, pull my boat in there, rig tackle in there, and it was a pain in the butt. That is spectacular, dude.
I've got I think it's on the Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page and Instagram, the Lake Lodge Grand Lake, or Lake Lodge Grand Lake.
Website is thelakelagegrandlake.com.
Like the Lake Lodge.
State. Lake Lodge Grand Lake.
That's right. But we do have there's a video floating around of last year's nation championship, which you fished, didn't you, Matt?
I did.
And it rained cats and dogs. And there's a picture. Will Davis stayed here, and there's a picture of him and all the other guys retying, and it is pouring, and they're just out there, lights on, retying, having a good time, chatting. We had a shrimp boil. Dave Cavell from Louisiana brought us some shrimp.
Oh boy, Dave Cavell,
we had a shrimp.
Did he destroy his room? Did you have to completely redo the room after Cavell was gone? That man, I'll tell you what, I've fished a couple nations with him, and that man knows how to freaking throw a party.
Yeah. No, he brought me a big pot, like a giant pot, and a burner and all that. So I've got it sitting here, and whenever he comes, he brings crawfish or shrimp, and we'll do a boil. But that was my point to the groups. If you have a big group, a club or whatever that fills the whole place, We give the tournament director a room. We comp it, and then if they want to make arrangements, we can do burgers, or we've done chili. We did chili at the nation championship. I had a bunch of 5 pots of chili, and all the nation presidents and stuff came over, and we did a chili feed, and we can do jambalaya. So we have a good time here.
Yeah, chili's a food group that I do not consume during.
That's why I said 5
during an
nation
event.
presidents full of chili is a dangerous combination.
That's why we gave it to the president.
Right. So one of the other reasons, and I've known John for a long time, and I know me and you have had a lot of off-air conversations about the direction we want to take day 4 in.
Yes, we have.
Just put this in the back of your mind for potential future options, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it would be perfect. It would be perfect for it. So what's off time of year when like you're not going to have there's going to be almost nobody staying there?
No, end of November through the end of February will be pretty sparse, and actually July and August, because there's no tournaments.
Yeah,
and we haven't really figured out the lake goers. How we're getting there though. We had a couple that brought their wake boat last Labor Day.
Did they hit one of the poles pulling into the garage?
This wake boat. This wake boat was giant.
Yeah,
Frank's out there putting sugar in the gas tank at night.
Yeah, like it barely fit. It barely fit. Those are 12-foot high.
Oh yeah,
spray painted "Go Home" on the side of it.
So there's some lakes here where I live. Our lakes are not big. Okay, like you guys have water. We don't have water.
Just Lake Erie.
Right, but that doesn't count because that's a completely different thing. So our inland waters are tiny, and they're being inundated with wake boats now, and they're so destructive to the environment of the lake, and there's nothing you could do about it. And everybody has a right to use the public waterways. There's nothing you could do about it. But I was fishing this one lake and I was idling really fast. I had some isolated brush piles located and I was pressing my idle to get from brush pile to brush pile. And this lady comes running down. There's no wake. There's no wake. And she's screaming at me. And I'm barely moving water, dude. And here comes this freaking wake boat kicking a 6-foot wall of water. It's literally washing over the lady's dock. And she's yelling at me because I'm idling from dock to dock.
Yeah.
And she's yelling at me.
My hoodie off. John's trying to get new business and cater to wake boaters and pontoon boats. He brings up the one hot button topic that Frank will just lose his gourd on. That's a Justin Phillips. John's over here. I can see him thinking, God, thank God no one who has wake boats listens to this show. He's true. Like, I'm trying to make it wake friendly. And here's Frank going, F those guys if they show up when I'm there.
Oh God!
What you're saying is you're a all inclusive vessel lodge that is primarily designed for bass boats. However, should you enjoy additional water sports, the accommodations are perfect for your activity of choice as well.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, John.
And there's a casino, right at the bottom of the hill. Tomcat Corner is right at the bottom of the hill. So we got everything set up perfect.
Frank's got a vein coming out of his neck, and all you did was say the 4-letter word "wake."
I'm with you, Frank. Though I'm
Oh,
with you.
John, I apologize for destroying your
Like I
marketing
said, I don't
strategy.
think any wake boat people
They're
are
not listening.
on BTL at 10 a.m. on Monday, October 20th, going,
No.
oh well, we were gonna book our wake resort, but
Now forget it.
forget it. We're gonna stay at the Best Western now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh almighty, dude.
Mm.
I mean,
Our
just
audience,
round it up.
John, this just tells you how our audience knows us like a book, man.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you. So we just did the merch drop. Frank, you got the BTL polo. I got the tan. It's not a specific team color, just a tan. But on the back, it's got the
Small.
Frank Scalish Signature Series Smalley. Next one is just going to be a black T-shirt. It's going to have white letterings, and it's going to be big bold block letters. It's going to say F star 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 wake boats.
It's gonna have the circle with the line through it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't even believe this. I'm sorry for that, John.
No, it's
No.
I'm good. It doesn't affect me. You might have pissed John off. I'm
No,
good.
you didn't.
all I'm telling you is when in my travels back in the day, if there was a lodge like yours, I would be booking there every time, no matter what, because some of the inconvenience that when you're a bass boater, and everybody watching the show knows that tows a bass boat, some places are so inconvenient to get around in, and they're not boat friendly. You have to unhook in the parking lot. It's a pain in the ass. This is insane. This is amazing.
We have security cameras. It's quiet. I mean, we're just off the highway, but you can't really even see it off the highway. So, like we're 100, 200 feet off the 59 highway that when you're driving, when you're coming into town to Grove,
That's perfect.
it's quiet. Like I said,
And if you use code capital BTO when you book, John will personally cook you a 42-ounce bone-in ribeye.
Or a tomahawk.
A tomahawk.
You have your choice.
Every night of your stay, and provide you with in-room massage therapy services.
Hey, you better do your disclaimer right now, John, because
man.
I have to do this
That's a
all the time on the show.
Yeah.
That is not true. Matt made it up.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
not
not
true.
true. Not true at all. If you bring us enough business, we might cook you a steak sometime.
I feel like you need a Frank Scalish Signature Series room in the lodge, though.
Well, we could go ahead.
Let me tell you who we got staying in the lodge right now. That if you come, you can stay in this room. The legend of bass fishing, Rick Clunn.
You know what? I did see his post. He made a post right out in front with your sign.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
us. So he's here. He's here all week. He's doing this thing called Reel in History, where he goes around to lakes that he likes or that he used to fish, and he's got guys that have paid to go fishing with him today, and he's going to be doing that all week. And they
That is
go
awesome.
to dinner and they hang out. My wife and I spent yesterday afternoon, all afternoon, just sitting around telling war stories with Rick Clunn and Melissa and the two guys that are down to go with him today. So pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yep.
I'll put the link in the description for the show, the YouTube description after this. It is the Lake Lodge, Grand Lake, all one word.
I would just say if you're coming to Grand and you do the Airbnb thing, just do me a favor, drive through, because we've had a bunch of guys do that and a bunch of guys now stay here.
At your price point, how in the heck could anybody go to an Airbnb?
I don't know.
There's hidden charges with Airbnbs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how would anybody, the convenience of pulling in there and your boat's right there, your room is right there, it's quiet, it's monitored. I mean, who?
And we've got space, so let's just say,
You have a wake boat.
let's say you and Matt come here and you both bring your boat. You're both fishing the pro side of whatever. And let's say we fill up and we've got, 20 boats here. We have the space and we have the outlets and we can make that work. We've had events where the guys each backed in motor to motor.
Gotcha.
So like half their boat was in, so they got half their boat covered, but they were plugged in and they could still sit underneath the lights and retie and all that. Or if they don't want to do that, we have space all around the property. We can park a lot of boats.
That's very cool.
And we have outlets for a lot of boats. So
that is very cool. I really like the setup, dude. I do.
I appreciate it. We went all sorts of places I wasn't planning on it. I love it. I love when I'm like, hey, do you want to hop on for 10 minutes? And then all of a sudden, an hour later, we've like totally covered a bunch of stuff.
And we did, but you know what we didn't cover? We didn't cover the new Signature Series release.
Oh, well, we'll let John go, and then we'll cover the Signature Series release, and then we'll wrap things up. John, thanks for jumping on.
Good John, thanks, man. Yeah. Nice seeing you, bud.
Yeah.
All right. See ya. All right. There you go. John Stewart. He's been around a while.
Dude, that's a badass.
It's dialed in, right?
Yeah. I mean, we never had stuff like that.
No, it's super dialed in. And Grand is, I think Grand is kind of, well, it's not that it's ever went down, but like there is a ton of 14 inchers in there right now, 13 and a half, 14, like schools of hundreds that I've never seen before.
Thousands. Well, the weird thing about,
and it's on the way back up.
Yeah, but the thing about Grand in the middle of summer is you get a lot of pleasure boat action.
Mm-hmm. Mark, I will not own a wake boat after I get married. Maybe a pontoon. Pontoons kick ass. Pontoon boats are fun.
They're fun.
I'd be totally down for that. All right. Are we doing that, or are we doing the Signature Series drop next week?
No, I have a new Signature Series drop coming out next week, November 6th.
Okay.
I'm gonna flash it. We still have pumpkin spice. I think we got a small amount of pumpkin spice available. I'm just gonna flash it. I'm gonna just tell you guys this right now. For November 6th, this is a color that you are going to want to fish. So originally, this wasn't designed as a signature bait. It was designed as a catalog color, but we put it in the signature bait. This is a color you're going to want to fish. Next week, we will go into it in detail. So I'm only going to flash it, and that's it. And then next week, I will show you.
Recorded show next week. So we're going to get done with this. I'm going to take the hoodie off because I'm sweating because it's a high quality hoodie. And
it's a very high quality hoodie.
And then we're going to reset, and then we're going to come back and do the November
6th.
No.
Hold on.
Yeah, November 6th show, because we're doing today's show, which works for the 23rd, and then that'll be the November. Holy cow. So the next time that a day 4 drops, I'll be married.
You will be, dude. You will be in a different status. You will
have been there to witness that. I still have to write my vows out, and there's a little book, like a classy book.
You could write one vow down.
Did you do
whatever
vows?
You say, babe.
Did you do vows with your lovely wife, like at the wedding, or?
Yeah, we did.
Said them out loud during the ceremony.
You did the standard ones.
I got you.
She will worship and honor me the rest of my life. Those,
I'm sure that went over real well.
Like a brick in a bathtub.
All right, this is one of the longest day 4s that we've ever had, but we got fired up over a bunch of different stuff. I will tell you one thing: when you come in January, which I think is what the schedule is, tentatively based on the weather, we will not be going to Milford Lake in Kansas.
Dude, after everything I've heard about the place,
You're kind of intrigued.
Yeah, we need to go. We need to figure this out. We need to unlock this madness.
So no, here's the deal. It's really not that bad of a lake. And this was right kind of 2021. So like I had scope and stuff, but I'm sure it's a little bit different with scope. But now that it's dialed in, but that lake had dropped down. And if you get on the historical imagery on Google Earth, that's when that was really big when I was doing that. And there are like all sorts of badass foundations. Like there'll be like a middle of a cut, and then it'll just be like rubble, like in a square. So I've got every single foundation, rock pile, everything marked on that lake. And there were fish on them in practice, but you put 80 boats on a 6,000 acre lake.
Oh yeah, no.
It was
but you didn't talk about the weather change, dude.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy. That's
no,
crazy
it was.
That's so funny,
I'm
man.
curious on how big it actually is. Oh, it's 15,000 acres, but I would say that it's 8,000 fishable.
Yeah.
And they live in 4,000 of those acres. Yeah, that's a great comparison, Jim. He said I would compare it to Shelbyville Lake in Illinois. Awesome. Just less clay and more rock. All right. We need music. And we need to end this.
Hey, happy Halloween. Woo.
Pick it up. Yeah, that's the pumpkin spice. We have to string it out for another 15 seconds until the music starts again. There you go. Now we can end it. All right, this has been another edition of Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish. No show on the 23rd. You will actually be down in Decatur and Fort Worth, Texas with me for the weekend. And then we'll be back with the recorded show on November 6th. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.